Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the biggest nose, JC Courtside, coming at y'all today on November 5th. It's crazy. We're already about 3 weeks. I think we are 3 weeks into the NBA season. And last night, I'll be honest, there were not that many entertaining games, but the entertaining ones were entertaining for different reasons. Obviously, you guys know which games I'm talking about, and we will start by talking about one specific team and about their miraculous comeback last night. We're also going to be doing a little segment at the end. It's a different one, talking about should you invest in specific ideas going around the NBA right now. So be tuned in for that at the end of this pod, okay? On top of all of this, guys, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review if you are listening on Spotify or Apple. And if you are watching on YouTube, be sure to drop a like, subscribe. All of that means the absolute world. It helps more than you guys could possibly understand. And remember, we are doing these live everywhere on Twitch, on YouTube, on Playback. TikTok and Twitter will be added tomorrow. I was still waiting for my stream key approval from TikTok. So we are doing these live Monday through Friday. At what time? 9 a.m. Eastern. Be there or be a loser. All right. Now, we got all that garbage out of the way. I say, what's stopping us from getting started? All right. Our first topic of this morning is the Bulls' unbelievable comeback. Down 24. They were both 5-1 going into this game. Philadelphia and the Chicago Bulls. They were both 5-1. The Bulls were down 24 late into the third quarter. And they came back all on the back of Josh Giddey. This team, despite Tyrese Maxey's 39 points, they still came back and managed to win off of a Vooch Maines game winner. Vooch, baby, with a game winner in the corner to just get their first lead of the game and the win. Talk about pure insanity. I watched this game fully. Even when they were down 24, I had it in multi-view and I kept tuning in because the Bulls, the way this game was going, it just kept going back and forth, back and forth. Bulls would go on a 7-0 run. 76ers would go on a 9-0 run. Bulls would go on a 9-0 run. 76ers would go on an 11-0 run. They just kept hanging in there. And eventually I knew the 76ers offense would just snap. The way that this game ended, right? I will tell you, it's the Bulls did a lot of things right. But I'll tell you what happens on the 76ers side. They did a lot of things wrong. They were still holding on to the lead. They were still playing well. And then I saw Joel Embiid stretching on the sideline. And I said, if they put Joel Embiid in this game, it's going to be over. They put him in. Tyrese Maxey was going to work. He was cooking. He was cooking all game long. They were going to Edgecombe, Grimes, Maxey, Kelly Oubre with a massive dunk near the end of the game. And then they put Joel Embiid in the game. They go to Embiid at the mid-range, okay? Holds the ball for 14 seconds. Puts up a mid-range, brick. Next possession, they go to Joel Embiid, holds the ball for 20 seconds, mid-range, brick. They go to Joel Embiid again at the mid-range. Vucevic swipes the ball. Bulls score on the other end. They go to Embiid again in the mid-range. Loses the ball and falls over. Bulls go on, score. And they kept going to him. Now, I understand Embiid had a good first half. He had 18 points in the first half. 18 points. I think he hit one field goal in the entire second half. And then in the second half, they kept going to Joel Embiid. And I don't know why. They kept going to him. Now, I've said this before. Joel Embiid is going to get better throughout the season if he doesn't get hurt again. But going to him at the end of the game, I know Adam Bono wasn't playing well. You have Andre Drummond. Put Andre Drummond into the game. Let Maxey, let Edgecombe, let Grimes, let Oubre, let all of them work. Why did you continuously give the ball to Embiid down low? They literally wasted 6 or 7 possessions in crunch time to give it to Embiid just to prove a point or something. I don't know. He can't move. He can't jump. He did get a nice block late into the game. He can't move. I don't know how many times Vucevic just did one little pivot, beat him to the hoop. So that's why I believe the 76ers choked this game. And then, better yet, Nick Nurse on the final play of the game gives it to Grimes. You give it to Quentin Grimes, who shot 4 for 11 and missed all 5 threes last night. You don't give it to Maxey, who's got 39. Hell, you don't even give it to Edgecombe. I mean, he wasn't having a great game either. You could have gave it to Oubre, and I think fans would have been okay with it. He went 7 for 11 for 18 points. But you give it to Quentin Grimes? Jared McCain did not look good in his first game back, and that's okay. I think he'll improve. But my biggest issue was Nick Nurse's decision-making and going to Embiid over and over and over and over and over again at the end of the game when it wasn't working. It clearly wasn't working. Now, from the Bulls side, Josh Giddey, 29 points, 15 rebounds, 12 assists, the triple-double. He had 5 turnovers, but he was, the primary ball handler. He also shot 10 for 19 from the field, 2 for 4 from deep. This guy, Josh Giddey, is for real. He's for real. I don't know if he could be a number 1, but I think he could be a number 1 ball handler. I don't see why not. Why can Josh Giddey not be the primary ball handler on an NBA team? I think he can. So long as he improves his dribble pull-up from the three-point range or mid-range, I think he'll be more than fine if he can create his own shot. I think Josh Giddey, with the way he's playing, if he continues up this pace, I think he could be an all-star. Why not? Tyrese Maxey, right? Cade Cunningham. I don't know how the voting is going with the whole international versus United States teams, but yeah, Josh Giddey should be included in there. The way that I see the Bulls season going is quite interesting. And I don't want to talk too much about the Bulls because I have a segment later into this podcast, but I will talk about some things that we won't mention later into the podcast. Jalen Smith, you did a good job off the bench. You did a great job off the bench. This is all without Ayo Dosunmu. This is all without him, right? He didn't play. Kobe White, they still don't have him. Kevin Huerter was incredible. The amount of energy that this kid was bringing, he is having a bounce back year. Shout out to Kevin Huerter. Had a massive block on, I forget who, but had a huge block late into the game. Isaac Okoro is having a year that I never would have predicted. It looked like just a throw-in contract for the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, he's dropping 16 points on 5 for 8 shooting. Trey Jones is so fast. Trey Jones reminds me a lot of Jaden Ivey. Pre the injuries. Hopefully Jaden Ivey can look even better. I do have a point I want to say about Matas Buzelis. The Bulls play better when he's more aggressive. I think they need to have him bring the ball up the court a bit more. I like Buzelis, and I think he just needs the ball in his hands way more. But if Josh Giddey is going to be setting up plays for everybody like the way he was last night, don't change the game plan off my expense for just wanting to see Buzelis succeed. If Josh Giddey is putting up a 30-point triple-double like that casually on a Tuesday night in the regular season, let him. This is all to just come full circle for a Vucci main, Vucci baby, Nikola Vucevic, 19 points, 10 rebounds, couple steals on Embiid in the fourth quarter, 8 for 14 shooting. He had 1 3 all night, and it was the one to give them their first lead of the night that won them the game. The Chicago Bulls did their thing. They were down by 24. I'm going to talk about the Bulls more in our final segment of this podcast. So I don't want to talk. I'm also going to be talking about the 76ers a little bit more at the end of this podcast. Okay? So don't go anywhere because I'm saving this nice segment for the end, and I think it'll be a good time. I don't think this podcast will be that long, to be fully honest with everybody. The games weren't that entertaining. They weren't that entertaining last night. Mind you, we will be streaming NBA games in the evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Eastern, whatever the games are, on Playback. That link will also be added down in the description, whether you're on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. So be sure to follow our Playback room and get ready for that. Just get ready for that because we're going to have some good games on the Playback. You can watch the games live with me and react with me. So yeah, be sure to tune in for all that stuff as well. Okay, our next topic of discussion is Desmond Bane's ejection in another awful, horrible, disgusting loss in Atlanta versus the Hawks, 127-112. Now, I'm not going to say I told you so, but I told you so. The Orlando Magic don't just look bad. They look broken. And I don't think they can get out of this hole. I remember we talked about this in the first week after a couple games for the Magic. And I told everyone that I don't see why people thought that this was a guaranteed third seed. They had them jump the Pistons in the power rankings. They had them jump the Hawks. They had them jump the Raptors. They had them jump the Heat. They had them jump the Celtics and Pacers. We didn't know what the Celtics and Pacers were going to do this season. So now we can obviously see why they've jumped those two teams. But I just want to read you a couple of these things, just so you can understand how truly bad they are, okay? They're 19th in points scored per game. They're 26th in assists. 26th. They're bottom 4 in the league in assists. 17th in steals. They are 6th in blocks. I did not know that. They are 6th in blocks. They are 20th in field goals made, 26th in field goals attempted. They are 28th in 3 points made. Low-key, I think that might be higher than the Pistons. I'd have to look to confirm, but I think that might be higher than the Pistons. I will check on that and I will get back with you. I don't think so, but it might be hella close. They are 28th in 3 points made, 28th in 3-pointers attempted. They are 21st in 3-point percentage. And then on top of all of this, the most important things to see is that they allow buckets in the paint like no other team. The Orlando Magic lost to the Atlanta Hawks without Trae Young. Do you understand how difficult it is to lose to a team when you out-rebound them, when you get more assists than them, and you get less turnovers than them? And the less turnovers isn't even like a crazy... They had 17 turnovers to the 18 turnovers of the Hawks. The Hawks were up 25 at some point. They were up 25 points. Now, there were way too many fouls called. I don't like what the referees are doing this season. 30 fouls from the Hawks. Sorry, 30 fouls from the Magic, 24 from the Hawks. I will say something very, very early here, and I said it before. This all starts with Paolo Banchero. I know people want to put blame on Jamal Mosley, and we will be talking about the Magic a little bit more towards the tail end of this in another segment. But this all falls on Paolo Banchero. If your star is shooting 6 for 16, 0 for 4 from deep, what are you to do? If your second best player, who I think is personally their best player, Franz Wagner, is shooting 6 for 15 from the field and 0 for 3 from deep, do you notice the trend? Wendell Carter Jr., 1 for 4 from deep. Desmond Bane, 2 for 4 in an ejection. Desmond Bane, 9 points, 2 assists, 1 steal, minus 13 on the court, 2 for 6 from the field. This is who they just mortgaged their entire future for. This is who it is. Desmond Bane is not, this isn't just a one-off game. He has been doing this game and game and game again. Tristan De Silva had a great game off the bench. Doesn't matter though. Jonathan Isaac, I saw Magic fans crying to bring him onto the court in hopes that they have some sort of defense. That didn't work. And by the end of the game, they wanted to trade him. What trade value does Jonathan Isaac have? And my final and most important point of the Orlando Magic, they have no direction. They have no direction. This is the team that they are dealt. This is what they are dealing with. Unless you want to trade a Wagner or a Banchero or a Suggs, this is your team. And I think their only opportunity is trading a Suggs. I don't see them trading a Banchero or a Franz Wagner. I see them just riding with this duo into the sunset, meaning the play-in or missing the playoffs. This team is not right. This team is not right. If this is what they're going to look like. And on top of that, I do want to mention something very important. The Orlando Magic, they beat the Heat on October 22nd. Then they lost to the Hawks. Okay. Then they lost to the Bulls. Then they lost to Philadelphia. Then they lost to Detroit. And their 2 wins against the Charlotte Hornets and the Washington Wizards. All Magic fans are saying, yup, we're back. We're back. This is why it's so important to know who your team is playing against. They beat the Wizards. The Wizards who are 1-6. And they beat the Charlotte Hornets, who are 3-5. Mind you, take the Hornets 3-5 with a grain of salt as well, because they beat the Jazz, they beat the Wizards, and they beat the Brooklyn Nets. So when I tell you to look at your opponents wisely and where their wins are coming from, that is why, especially early into the season, the Hornets have beat the 3 teams that are actually worse than them in the NBA. The Nets, who are still have not won a game. The Wizards, who have 1 win, and they beat the Jazz, who the Jazz are actually pretty entertaining. They're 3-4. So I won't insult the Jazz as much. But this is what's going on. This is what's happening. The Orlando Magic have 0 direction. And on top of that, have you guys checked their schedule moving forward? Because it ain't sweet. It ain't that sweet. We'll talk about it later, because I have very strong opinions on this team. So we'll talk about them later. But yeah, Desmond Bane is not what they were expecting. Desmond Bane cannot create shots for himself and others. He can't do it. I think people are really starting to realize how important Jaren Jackson Jr. was to Desmond Bane's success, because people were saying Desmond Bane can do it. He's been running the offense without John Morant for 3 years. He can do it. That's why the Magic traded him. Big brain activity. No, they had Jaren Jackson Jr. The live crew right now on Twitch is telling me they got to keep Franz and Paolo, need to get something for Suggs or Wendell Carter Jr. And I'm here to tell you, nobody wants Wendell Carter Jr. And some people may want Jalen Suggs. Yeah, he's just not a point guard. I think he can be a great 6-man on any team. He can be that energy guy like a Marcus Smart. You know what I mean? Because like the live crew said, if Desmond Bane is not hitting his shots off the catch, he sucks. I don't know why he keeps trying to play off the dribble, but that's what he's doing. That's what he continues to do. And the Orlando Magic are going to continue to fail if they keep this same attitude up. Now, that's all I'm going to talk about it, because I want to talk about them a little bit later on in our final segment of this podcast. So let's talk about my final bullet point that I feel like news that we have to talk about. Shout out the Pelicans. Oh, what I wanted to say, and I completely forgot. Last night in our daily pick'ems, I went 100%. I predicted every single winner from last night. So, hey, shout out me. I called it. I literally predicted every single win. And one of the live crew members in the Twitch stream said, how dare you pick against the Hornets? And I said, I just see it. I see the vision. The Pelicans got their first win against the Charlotte Hornets because the Hornets are horrible. So I think it's time we talk about this trending topic. Zion Williamson is hurt again. You know, Zion, they said that he'd be out for 7 to 10 days. 7 to 10 days. And this is how it starts every single season with Zion Williamson. It's these little tic-tac injuries that slowly pile on. 7 to 10 days turns into 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks turn into 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4 months turn into season-ending injury. And then he plays the final 15 games of the season. He averages 30 points in March and April when it doesn't matter. And then this happens. Now, we all know March basketball and April basketball doesn't matter a whole lot. Yes, it decides the seedings of teams, but basically, a lot of teams at that point have realized they're either good or they're bad. So in March and April, you then see teams that are tanking really tank. I'm talking sitting out players just to sit them out. And then you see teams with above average players go ballistic in those times because that's their time when everyone's sitting out. The Currys, the Butlers, the LeBrons, the Dončićes, everyone starts sitting out. So when you're up against the Lakers, guess what? You're up against the third stringers. Now, there's a couple players that did that last season in particular that I want to talk about. Zion Williamson went crazy. He was averaging like 27 points per game last March. And then Josh Giddey. He was averaging a 30-point, 22 and points and a triple-double. Josh Giddey in March and April. This shows you at the beginning of the next season if what they were doing was sustainable or not. Josh Giddey is showing you that that's sustainable. This is Josh Giddey. He's going to get you a triple-double on any given night. He's going to be a great facilitator. He's going to get to the hole. And Zion Williamson is a March and April NBA player. He is not an October, November, December, January, February player. Those are the months that he recoups. He lost all this weight. This is skinny Zion now. What's the problem? Well, let's go over what their biggest issues are, right? They're 29th in points scored with 108 points. They're 27th in rebounding. Remember, there are 30 teams in the NBA. Just a reminder, podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating review. YouTube watchers, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. It helps more than you can possibly know. They are 27th in rebounding, 29th in assists. So they're not moving the ball around. When they get the ball, they're not moving it around. They're 28th in blocks, 29th in field goals made, 29th in field goal percentage, 20th in three-pointers made, 28th in free throw percentage. So they're missing the free buckets. They're 29th in true shooting percentage and 28th in defensive rebounding. So when you look at this team and you start trying to figure out what their biggest issue is, you start to truly understand just by looking at these individual stats. Trey Murphy was expected to have a big leap. And I left him out of my top 10 when I was ranking the positions. I left him out of my top 10. And I'm happy I did. Trey Murphy is averaging 15 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. What's worse is he's shooting 40% from the field and 53% true shooting. Not the leap that people were expecting. Zion Williamson is averaging just under 23 points per game on 48% shooting, and he's not shooting any threes. He has not shot a three-pointer. Jordan Poole was supposed to be their savior. They don't even have Kevon Looney yet. The New Orleans Pelicans are a depressing franchise, and I've never said this before, but I think it's time. I think they need to move. And I know the Pelicans, they just got their team back after they moved to Charlotte, and they got it. Listen, man, they are one of the league's worst in attendance every single year. They are hurt every single year. I don't understand what is going on with the health staff on this team. Just look at their opponent's rank. They allow the second most points scored every night. They allow the most rebounds gathered every single night. They allow the most assists every night. They allow their shots to be blocked the most, 30th in the league, 30th in field. They allow the most field goals made against them every night. They allow the second best three-point shooting to happen against them every night. This franchise has zero direction. I hate that I got excited for skinny Zion. They get me every damn year with this team. New Orleans, I'm sorry. I think they got to move you to Louisville or Vegas. Hell, give Vancouver their team back. They missed their team because I'm done with this New Orleans Pelicans experiment. It's not working. Zion Williamson, I think it's finally time to start truly calling you what you are. And you're a tragic story. You're not a bust, but this is a tragic story because I remember everyone hyping up Zion Williamson the way they were. He was hyped up way more than Cooper Flagg was, and it hasn't turned into anything. And guess what? Zion is hurt again. I'm going to end the segment off with that. Now, let's move on to our next segment. And, we're calling it, what trend should you invest in? What's going on around the league right now that I think that if you were to talk about basketball with your boys or with your friends, with your family, what ideas should you take from me and talk to them about so you can claim these ideas as your own so that you look like a smarty pants? Should you invest in the Bulls hot start or the 76ers hot start? I mentioned this. I talked about this in a few pods ago, but now I really want to dive a little bit deeper into both of these teams. So as we know, we talked about it earlier, the Bulls came back from 24 down against the Philadelphia 76ers last night in Chicago. So now I want to talk about what team you should invest in. This is not talking about next season. This is not talking about 2 seasons from now. This is talking about this current NBA season. And I think this was, I thought I was flip-flopping every day, but I'm going to stay true to what I said. Short term, invest in the 76ers. Over the next month, invest in the 76ers. But starting when the new calendar turns, January 1st, invest in the Chicago Bulls. I've talked about this a lot. The Philadelphia 76ers are running Tyrese Maxey into the ground right now. We saw it happen last year, except he's way more efficient this year. In fact, he's too efficient right now. He's too efficient. Tyrese Maxey's not going to be shooting over 43% from three-point land for the rest of the season. Tyrese Maxey's also not going to be able to play for 42 minutes on average every single night. If they don't get Paul George, if they don't get a healthy Joel Embiid, wishful thinking, if they don't see the VJ Edgecombe truly surpass that rookie wall, I don't see this trend continuing. They are demanding VJ Edgecombe not to be good, but to be great, to continue averaging that 20 plus points per game. And that's a lot of pressure on a rookie. Way too much pressure. Tyrese Maxey can continue doing this for you for maybe a month. He's averaging 34.5 points, 5 rebounds per game, and 8.5 assists. He's 25. He's bulked up. He had 39 points last year, but he's not going to be scoring 35 points a night for you. Now, I will say some key points that I've seen Tyrese Maxey improve upon, and a lot of casuals won't notice this, but Tyrese Maxey last season and the season before, he would always drive to the hoop and it's like absorb contact and just miss every single layup. Tyrese Maxey realized, wait, I can just pop up a little cute floater. And now his game has developed into the way it's developed. This floater is helping him tremendously. But I have to reiterate this again. Tyrese Maxey is playing 43 minutes a game. 43. He's averaging 34.5 points, shooting 46% from the field and 47% from three. You all understand that that's not sustainable, correct? That is not sustainable. He is shooting 47% from three, and we saw it last night. I think he shot he shot 6 for 10. Like, that is unbelievable efficiency. Now, take that from last night with a grain of salt. Let me move on to the Chicago Bulls real quick as to why I think you should invest in the Bulls long-term right now. The Chicago Bulls are tricky. The reason why I said short-term invest in the 76ers is because of what Tyrese Maxey is doing right now. But the main reason I say you should invest in the Chicago Bulls long-term, it's tricky. Let me explain. The Chicago Bulls, and I've talked about this before, are a very, very, very interesting team. When you look at their team all around, they have energy, they pick up the pace, they want to play fast, and and if they want to play slow, they got Vucci Baby to help slow them down. The issue I see with the Chicago Bulls, and it's glaring. Right now, opponents are shooting the 3rd worst in the league against them. Teams are shooting on average against them from deep. They are shooting a league-wide bottom 3, 24% from three-point land against them. That is not sustainable. I don't think people are going to continue posting 1980 3-point percentages against this team all season long. That number is going to pick back up. I don't see teams shooting league worst efficiencies from deep against this team. So that's going to be their fallout. And you saw it last night if you watched the game. The Philadelphia 76ers hit 8 threes in the first quarter. They were blowing them out. They were up by 24 points. And the Bulls, throughout the whole game, they stayed true to one thing. We're giving you those threes. We're giving you them. Like, they are defending, but if Tyrese Maxey is just going to continue hitting these step-back 35-footers, what can you do? They are defending the three and allowing them to just drive to the paint consistently. The 76ers only hit like 1 3 in the third quarter. So they were playing the same way all game, but the 76ers stopped making those impossible threes, and the Bulls ended up coming back just because those shots stopped falling. Now, I think the efficiencies against the Bulls will pick up. I don't think you're going to see the Bulls at the top of the standings for much longer. When you look at each team's schedule as well, they haven't been up against like the most difficult of teams. The Bulls their Bulls schedule gets pretty complicated here moving forward. On Friday, they play Milwaukee, then Cleveland, then the Spurs, then Detroit, then the Jazz, then the Nuggets, then the Trailblazers, then the Heat, and then the Wizards. So their schedule for this month is going to be pretty difficult, right? And then when you look at other teams like the 76ers, they also have not been playing crazy teams. So when you look at their schedule and you see the Cavs tonight, the Raptors next, Detroit after that, the Celtics after that, Detroit again, the Clippers, the Raptors, the Bucks, the Heat, both of their schedules are starting to ramp up. So I think at the end of this stretch, you're going to see these two teams with very different records. In fact, I hate to talk about it right now. And you know what? I'm not going to. I'm going to save it for the next segment. But the Chicago Bulls, I think, should receive your investment for this season, because I don't see Tyrese Maxey averaging 35 points a game. I don't see Tyrese Maxey shooting 47% from deep. I like Chicago's team more all around with Josh Giddey, with the trusted Montez Buzelis, Vucci Main, Vucci Baby. Nikola Vucevic is going to continue bringing it every night. Trey Jones has looked absolutely incredible. I think the Chicago Bulls could make some noise and maybe secure a playoff spot. Maybe. I don't see the same thing happening for the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't think Tyrese Maxey can sustain this for much longer. This is all without Kobe White. Thank you, live crew in the Twitch stream, for reminding me. Let's move on to our next investment. What team should you invest in the East? The Orlando Magic, the Atlanta Hawks, the Toronto Raptors, or the Detroit Pistons? I don't think this is that difficult of a decision for most fans around, and most casual fans around the I guess I was going to say country, but Canada is involved there as well. I'll say North America. Hell, say globally. The Toronto Raptors, let's start in order. The Orlando Magic. No, we already talked about them enough. I'm telling you straight up, they need to fire their coach. They need to get a point guard. They need to remortgage their future on somebody else. It's not working right now. It doesn't mean that it won't work later into the season. Remember, this is long-term investments. This is for the season. This is for the season, not just this week, not next year. This is for this season. I think you can pretty much see what the Magic are going to be looking like for the rest of this season. I do not see them playing competent basketball with the current roster structure that they have. Next, we have the Atlanta Hawks. They're without Trae Young for a month, minimum. He's going to be reevaluated in a month, which my assumption is you'll probably see Trae Young return at the end of this year, like at the end of 2025. They don't have a point guard. Dyson Daniels hasn't shown the improvement that they wanted. Jalen Johnson, as good as he's been, hasn't been an all-star caliber athlete and player the way that we all expected. Nickeil Alexander-Walker's been serviceable. Luke Kennard's been serviceable. Kristaps Porzingis has been okay. But as we all know, Kristaps starts hot, then sits out for 3 months, comes back, sits out. So we'll see what can happen in Atlanta there. So they could be a good investment. They could be. The Toronto Raptors are a very interesting team. And the Toronto Raptors, I did not call out on like they need to do something. I said this team is showing a lot of what a lot of us could have predicted, right? They beat the Hawks, they lost to the Bucks, they lost to the Mavs, they lost to the Spurs, they beat the Cavs, then they beat the Grizzlies, and then they beat the Bucks. They're on a 3-game winning streak right now. And Toronto's biggest issue for the season has been their defense. They came out and said that their defense is going to be unbelievable. They're going to have the best defense in the league. Well, right now they still have a bottom 5 defense in the NBA. They're allowing the most points. I think Darko Rajakovic, their head coach, could be on the hot seat if they don't continue this trajectory right now. They're 4-4 and 8th seed in the East, right? With their issue being defense, that is easily something they can improve upon. Now, we can talk about contracts all we want. We can talk about Jakob Poeltl being hurt. His back is broken. We can talk about Emmanuel Quickley being a waste of money. We can talk about Scotty Barnes not showing you a leap. We can talk about RJ Barrett being the point of focus that all fans were saying they should trade. Him being their best player is speaking volumes. Brandon Ingram has been consistent. And this has been a very, very interesting start to the season for the Toronto Raptors because you've seen the duality of this team. You've seen them on top of the world. You've seen them eating poop. And right now, they're on top of the world. They're on a 3-game winning streak. Mind you, their schedule has not been otherworldly difficult, but it hasn't been also a cakewalk, right? It hasn't been a cakewalk. So I think the Toronto Raptors could be a valuable investment. Now, whether or not they can improve their defense, whether or not they can learn how to spread the ball a little bit more, whether or not they get the productivity from Mamu off the bench. I was going to try saying his whole name. I'm not going to, just Mamu. This team could be very fun. How fun could they be? What could their ceiling be? Well, we'll see. We'll see. I really like Colin Murray-Boyle. So, I mean, they have a fun team. And up last, we have the Detroit Pistons. You guys already know I am a Detroit Piston fan. And I think with the way that this season is going, I'm seeing all of their faults. I'm going to put my biases and my fanhood to the side. I'm seeing the Detroit Pistons' fault. You know, people have been preaching they lost Tim Hardaway Jr., they lost Dennis Schroeder, they lost Malik Beasley. People say that because of the idea of Tim Hardaway Jr. They think that he was a really good shooter. He's league average. Tim Hardaway Jr. is league average. He just likes putting them up, but people think that he's some top-tier shooter. With Jokic, yeah, you bet your biscuits he's a top-tier shooter. I said Jokic is going to make him look like prime Klay Thompson. He's doing it. Jokic does that with everyone with the amount of gravity that he holds. Dennis Schroeder was a big loss, but the main reason that it didn't feel like a big loss was because the Pistons had Jaden Ivey going into this year. Losing Jaden Ivey again, he will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So I think we could start seeing Jaden Ivey enter the court by the start of December. If his recovery processes went well, I think Jaden Ivey will return at the start of December. On top of that, we're still waiting to hear the news on Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley just came out 2 days ago. I think he went on Instagram and posted on a story. I watched the footage and he said, and I quote, "I'm not allowed to talk to the Pistons. My agents are. The contract is on the desk waiting for me to be cleared by the NBA. I don't want to play for any other team in the NBA. Those guys are my family. Those guys are the people I'm most close to. I had the best season of my career with them, and I want to return to Detroit. I'm just waiting to be cleared." And that's what Malik Beasley said. Now you add Jaden Ivey, you add Malik Beasley onto this team, and all of a sudden their issue about three-point shooting is solved. Duncan Robinson's great, but he's not enough. Cade Cunningham's three still hasn't really found him yet this season. They have Isaiah Stewart. They have Duncan Robinson. Javonte Green's been serviceable. This team, all they're lacking right now is three-point shooting. They are number one in the league in point scoring. They're also number one in the league in blocks, and paint scoring. So they own the paint on both sides. It's just whether or not they can get more consistent three-point shooting, because they're also a bottom 3 team in the league when it comes to three-point shooting, attempts and makes. So my opinion is I think you should invest in the Detroit Pistons. Of course, you think I think that just because I'm a fan, but I'm telling you straight up, you are adding a 43% three-point shooter in Jaden Ivey. And then possibly Malik Beasley at some point this season, who should have been number 1 in the league in three-pointers made last year, but Anthony Edwards decided to take 17 threes in the last game to pass him. You are adding 2 of the better three-point shooters in the NBA right now onto this team. Hell, if you don't even want to talk about if Malik Beasley, just when Jaden Ivey, just add Jaden Ivey to this team. They are lacking ball-dominant players. They are lacking three-point shooters. They are lacking players who can create their own shot. Jaden Ivey in itself, what a lot of people aren't realizing is if you look at the schedule, the upcoming schedule for the Detroit Pistons, for the Toronto Raptors, for the Orlando Magic, and for the Atlanta Hawks, the Pistons and Raptors have the easiest schedule moving forward. The Raptors have Atlanta, Philly, Brooklyn, Cleveland, Indiana, Charlotte, Philly, Washington, Brooklyn. That's pie. That is easy. The Pistons had the hardest. This is another thing that people are underrated. The Pistons had the hardest start to the schedule. I'm talking number 1 ranked hardest start based off of last year's records and projections. The hardest start to any team in the NBA. And yet right now they are 5-2 on a 3-game win streak. They had the Bulls. They had in Chicago, in Houston, which they won. Detroit against Boston, they won. Detroit against the Cavs, they got embarrassed in Cleveland. The Magic versus Pistons, they won. The Mavs and Pistons in Mexico City, they won. The Pistons in Memphis, they won. And now they have an easy stretch of their schedule. They have an easy stretch of their schedule because they just had the hardest start to any team in the league. Up next, they have the Pistons. They have the Jazz tonight. Then the Nets for the NBA Cup. Then Philly. Then the Wizards. Rematch against the Bulls. Then Philly again. Then the Pacers. Then the Hawks. The Bucks. Giannis always kills them. Then the Pacers again. Then Boston again. Then the Magic. Then the Heat. And then the schedule starts equalizing. Starts going Hawks, Bucks, Trailblazers, Bucks. So when you look at these 2 teams, the teams that have the easiest schedule moving forward, of the 4 teams that I mentioned, the Hawks, the Raptors, the Magic, and the Pistons, I would tell you to invest in the Pistons because I think the Pistons are going to be getting Jaden Ivey here pretty soon in a couple weeks. That's adding a 43% three-point shooter last season onto this roster. You are seeing the confidence grow across the entire team between Isaiah Stewart, between Duren, between Asar Thompson, Ron Holland. If you give them, think about it this way. Jaden Ivey is better than Dennis Schroeder, correct? Does anybody dispute that? Jaden Ivey is better than Dennis Schroeder. He does everything better. Three-point shooting, shot creation for himself, shot creation for others. Rebounding, defense. So when you look at that and they lost Dennis Schroeder, but now they have Jaden Ivey, a 43% three-point shooter last season, was breaking out, averaging almost 20 points per game next to Cade Cunningham. I think you should invest into the Detroit Pistons out of these 4 teams. Up last, our final segment. Now, I could have added another coach in here, but I'm going to keep it these 3 because I think they have the hottest seats. If this was last week, I would have still had these 3 teams. Oh wait, actually, sorry, I forgot I added another segment. Zion or Ja being traded first. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. This one, I think, is pretty easy to determine. I don't think anybody wants Zion. The injuries, I don't think a lot of teams want to trade for that. On the other hand, you have Ja Morant, a stubborn, angry, he's pulling the Jimmy Butler way of getting traded. He's got bad vibes. I don't think a team wants bad vibes, but I think a team would rather have bad vibes than injuries. Now, mind you, Ja Morant still gets injured. So you are getting injuries with bad vibes with Ja Morant. or just injuries after injuries after injuries and injuries and injuries. In my opinion, I would go Ja. I think Ja Morant's going to be traded first. I don't think the Grizzlies players like him. I don't think the Grizzlies coaching staff likes him. I think if I were a betting man, I think you should invest in Ja Morant being traded first. And funny enough, somebody in the live crew just said on YouTube, this may sound crazy, but if I were the Atlanta Hawks, I would make a trade for Morant, for Young, just straight up. I wanted to read that because I don't necessarily agree with that take. I think you can get more for Trae Young. The issue with Trae Young is that he's going to want a lot of money with whatever team he goes to. So I think teams will be weary of trading for a Trae Young because he's going to want him at the most money you can possibly get. And I don't think I'd give a 6'1" Trae Young, the worst shooting Trae Young has ever had in his career right now, a lot of money. So if you were to invest on Zion or Ja Morant being traded first, I'd say go ahead and invest in Ja. I think Ja has a little bit more value than Zion Williamson does. Now, for our final, what you should invest in. Which coach will be fired first? Mind you, I would have had Darko, the Raptors coach, in there, but they're on a 3-game winning streak, so he's cool for now. Who will be fired first? Jamal Mosley for the Orlando Magic, Willie Green for the New Orleans Pelicans, or Thomas Isolo for the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, let me explain each one. Memphis fired, God, what's his name? I don't remember his name, but they fired their coach last season with like 5 games left. For Isolo, they wanted Isolo to have a head start onto the team. They wanted him to see, look, guys, look, I can be a coach. I can be a good coach. Ja, look, we're going to be running through you. So I don't think they're going to fire him that quickly. Then you have Willie Green for the New Orleans Pelicans. The New Orleans Pelicans have their best roster they've had in years, which isn't saying much. And yet their lineups are atrocious. Their decision-making, their coaching, their play style, their playbook, it's all horrendous. It's some of the worst basketball. Tune into a Pelicans game. That's who the Hornets just lost to. Tune into a Pelicans game. You will see what I'm talking about. Their lineup's atrocious. Their playbook is horrible. I don't know what Willie Green is calling. I don't think Willie Green is an NBA coach. I genuinely don't think he's fit to be an NBA coach. And then you have Jamal Mosley for the Orlando Magic. They are full on underperforming. They are fully underperforming. Everyone had them at the 3rd seed. And I've been telling you guys that that was wrong. Now, I'm going to read you Orlando's future schedule. And this is why I believe you should invest in Jamal Mosley for the Orlando Magic to be fired. They are up against Boston. They are up against Boston again. Then they're up against the Trailblazers, and then the Knicks, and then the Nets, and then the Rockets, Golden State, Clippers, Knicks, Celtics, Philly, Detroit, Chicago, Spurs, Heat, Knicks, Denver, Utah, Warriors, Trailblazers, Hornets, Nuggets. Do you see what the point I'm getting at? They have a very difficult stretch coming up soon. A very difficult stretch. Give me Jamal Mosley for being the first head coach fired this NBA season. Willie Green just got a win. He saved another day. But I can promise you this. If the Magic start losing more games into the schedule, I think Willie Green could be fired like tomorrow. So this is sort of like a dark horse pick. I think Willie Green could be fired like the next loss that they have. But I think what saves Willie Green is the fact that Zion got hurt again. So I think they'll wait until Zion gets back. Then they'll see that they still suck. Then they'll fire him. When the Magic have everybody, they have everybody, and they're still losing. So give me Jamal Mosley for the first coach that's going to be fired this NBA season. Ladies and gents, I hope that segment was fun for you as much as it was fun for me, because I think that was a lot of fun. Podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. And YouTube viewers, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. Now, mind you guys, we are going to be live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern for the Pistons Jazz game. All right. We're going to be live on playback to watch that game together. So if you guys want to watch that game together, be sure to go check out the playback link. It's called Jay-Z Uncut. The link will be down below. Mind you, we're also live streaming all of these podcasts Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. So be sure to tune into those live. Okay. I appreciate all y'all very, very much. Daily Pick'ems. Let's see what games are tonight. Why don't we? We have the 76ers in Cleveland on a back-to-back. Give me the Cavs. Philly's going to fall to 5-3. Pistons are going to move on to 6-2 when they beat the Jazz tonight in Detroit. Now, I want you guys to understand something. The Pistons have a real chance at being the number 1 seed. They are the 3rd seed right now in the East. This is the highest they've been. Last season, the highest they got was the 5th seed. They're a 3rd seed right now. The Pistons could be the number 1 seed here at the end of this week. They could be. The Bulls, they got a tough little stretch. The 76ers, they got a tough little stretch. Pistons win tonight. 76ers lose tonight. The Pistons jump them. The Pistons will be 2nd seed. Something to look after. I got the Pistons beating the Jazz, which we will be watching live on playback tonight. We also have the Nets in Indiana. Oh God, give me the Pacers. We have the Wizards in Boston. I'll take Boston. We have the Timberwolves in New York. Give me New York. We have the Rockets in Memphis. I'll take the Rockets. We have the Pelicans in Dallas. Pelicans 2 in a row? Nah. Mavericks. Give me the Mavericks. We have the Miami Heat in Denver. Man, that's the game of the night. And that's on League Pass too. Yeah, we'll be watching that game tonight on League Pass as well. That is the game of the night. Wow. That is the game of the night. That should be fun. I don't know. Wow. Who's out? Are there any injuries out? I feel like, this is tough. Okay, so the Denver Nuggets are averaging 125 points per game. The Heat are averaging 23.9. The Nuggets get more rebounds. They have the same amount of assists. The Heat gets more steals. The Nuggets gets more blocks. The Heat turns the ball over more. The Nuggets have a better field goal percentage. The Heat have a better 3-point percentage. Ooh, give me Denver. Give me Denver. I think the elevation will get to the Miami Heat, and I think they'll have tired legs, and I think Fontecchio is going to have a horrible game off the bench. I can smell it. Give me the Denver Nuggets. The San Antonio Spurs will be in LA against the Lakers. Is Luka playing tonight? I think he is. Give me the Lakers. And then we have the Thunder in Portland on a back-to-back. They're on their 2nd leg of a back-to-back. The Thunder are still undefeated. Ooh, that's tough. Give me the Blazers. They're going to end the Thunder's 8-game winning streak. Give me the Blazers. I'm calling the Thunder's first loss tonight. And then the Warriors on a back-to-back in Sacramento. Give me the Kings, man. I'm sorry. The Warriors are so bad against bad teams. Give me the Kings. That's Pick'ems. That's Pick'ems, ladies and gents. I got nothing left to say, except I'll see y'all tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, live. Guys, we do them live. We do them live. YouTube, Twitch, we do them live. Playback, we do them live. All right, 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Be here or be a loser. I got nothing left to say, except for thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And as always, guys, thank you for watching / listening. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. Have a good one, y'all.